name is Nan and you're on episode 8 of Why Blood Same Blood. After a little bit of Kollywood quiz streak, I'm back doing a cinema topic, so I'm very excited. Today's topic was actually set in motion many years ago, and it is probably the most analytical, technical I have gotten thus far. I won't spoil too much already, but I promise it'll be fun and there is a payoff at the end. So today's topic, as you would have known from the title and the thumbnail, is cinema fans. Let's talk about fans. Who is a fan? Abdina simpla Google pani paatha defines it as an enthusiastic, devotee, admirer or follower of a person, team or hobby. Of course, our discussion is about cinema. In the context of cinema, person na a filmmaker, actor, actress, director, musician, basically anyone that is making a film, a cast or a crew member. Hobby na cinema itself, and trend, team, adala vandu in the context of cinema is like a genre or type of films. Like you can be a fan of horror films, comedy films, Tamil cinema fan, Bollywood fan, and so on and so forth. I don't want to dwell too much on the definition, but I just want to establish that fan na an extreme degree of loving something, and it's more than just an average watcher or a average audience அப்படினு சொல்லுவோம் இல்லையா, அதையும் தாண்டி they are a fan அப்படினு they're one step ahead. If you're listening to this podcast, it might be safe to assume you're a fan of cinema, or if you are a family or a friend, you are a fan of me. That aside, there's a good chance you're a fan of something. Like I said at the start, fans pathina curiosity was instilled in me a few years ago. Ebdina, this requires a little bit of backstory. I was working at an agency in Singapore as part of the data research team, and this client that we had was a huge Fortune 500 media company. Name panlaman terla, but it rhymes with warmer media. The project was on fan study, okay, using data to understand fandom. My manager and mentor at the time also had worked previously with Disney Studios in the US and done this already. So on the work adapt panni, we were applying it. First of all, fan studies, abdindra or study or domain irukune, it was like really fascinating. And two, the study was about what makes people fans of something. What is a fan's motivation? How do they interact with their fandom? What behaviors they exhibit? Adala. And based on the patterns and commonalities, they get categorized as a type of fan. And we'll talk more about that. But this company, why they wanted to understand fans is they had different types of media, right? Like they had lifestyle, politics, sports, TV shows, movies, cartoons, and so much more. So obviously they want to understand the different fandoms better. So of course they can sell to them better because we live in a capitalist world after all. All to say, it was very fascinating for me. But at the same time, parts of it were not really relatable to our culture or context. It was largely westernized, and appoda I felt like, okay, why can't we contextualize and localize it for the kind of film watchers we are and film fans we are? அப்படின்றதுதா ஒரு pipe dream இருந்துச்சு. And of course, when I started this podcast, it was almost a given that one of the episodes will be about fandom. So I started researching. As a fan of cinema, and I have mentioned this in previous episodes also, that I'm very curious about how we interact with cinema. How cinema fandom interacts and exists in space is also very exciting for me. Based on my observations and being a member of Film Society.
Society-ya? என்னது எனக்கு ஒரு plate வேணும்.
Or a society that is very film loving, I'm starting to believe that fandom is also very intersectional. Skip like 30 seconds if you already know what fandom is and what intersectionality is, but I'll quickly cover that. Fandom vandu basically the community or group of people who are fans of something. Anils are a fandom, Rahmaniacs are a fandom, Swifties, Taylor Swift fans are a fandom, and so on. Adutha intersectionality. I am not an expert, so please do your own research, but simply put, it is basically a concept that different aspects of our identity influences how we experience things. It could be culture, or religion, or language, our status, our gender, and all the socio-economic factors that we experience as an individual. Adoda intersection la da a human exists, and that directly influences how we consume things, how we view things. Adha vandu fandom intersectionality. You can read up about it. Coming back to cinema culture is not something that exists in isolation. It is a subset of our overall culture. And India as a country, as we all know, is super diverse. But also we are so many of us that even every niche is mainstream, right? So appadi or a very interesting, diverse and nuanced, complex fan base or even viewer base that we are, I think that's why foreign media companies like Netflix and Disney or whatever, they are really struggling to find their footing here. Appadine ennoda karuthu. But all to say, these Western fan studies and theories won't really cut it. And as far as I have seen, there aren't too many studies that are done by our people. If you know of anything, of course, please enlighten me and share. But na panna research varika, I couldn't find that many. So I felt like, okay, starting with South Indian fans need their own sort of research and their own sort of study. Adla ஒரு very 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 first step and basic attempt தான் இது in the episode itself. And we'll talk a lot more about what all this entails. Before we go into the technical stuff, in popular culture itself, we know that South Indian cinema fans, or particularly Tamil cinema fans, because அதுதான் நான் பார்த்திருக்கேன், நான் ஒரு Tamil cinema fan. So அதுல வந்து a few things that are unique to our fan kalachaaram அப்படின்னு ஒன்று இருக்குல்ல, அது என்னன்னு பார்த்தா, first of all, politics and cinema. The lines are very, very blurred. It's not only big stars like MGR, Jayalalitha, NTR, Kamal Hassan, Vijay now, and so many more have got into politics. These are bigger stars, but even smaller stars like Khushbu or Prakash Raj, all of these people are also into politics, and there are so many more. We see this in Bollywood actors and other region actors as well. We churn a lot of politicians out of cinema, and it's like a stepping stone itself. Again, I'm not going to get too much into it, but that's one thing that we have seen a lot. Aduthathu vandu, we are also very hero worshipping, like cutout, paal abhishegam, koil katradhu, adala vandu we are very hero worshipping. I guess even the lines between movies and religion, or religiously worshipping some movie star, is very unique to our culture. Ippalam vera saami la aadranga. அடுத்தது வந்து continuation of that is we are very star first, cinema later. Love for cinema இருக்கலாம், but like craze for the star அப்படியும் பார்க்கலாம். Because a lot of our movies and our market at large is driven by the star or the market. Whereas if you see in Hollywood, it's more like big production or a big franchise has a market, and therefore a film gets made and all these sequels and stuff like that. But here it is heavily reliant on a big star, and that's also like directly speaking to gender parity, pay parity, and all of that. So that is a cycle also that goes on. A lot of the films get made are like, oh, fan service. Growing up, I heard a lot of, oh, Vijay fans ku paakla, or Rajini fans ku paakla, or Jyotika fans paakla. And the madri fans paakla abindra or phrase became very common. That's because, of course, a lot of the films might get made for fans, or we tolerate films because we are fans also. So that's also very unique to us. And lastly, I think this is my least favorite part of our fan kalachaaram, which is these fan wars and these fandom fights. Like I said before, we tolerate a lot for our fandom or the star that we are a fan of, and we are hugely defensive, which is okay. We are also very loyal, which is great, but it becomes bad when we start spewing one mum on others. We start trolling other people for being fans or their opinions. Our star can do no wrong. அந்த மாதிரி ஆன இதெல்லாம் வந்து is not so great about our fandom. So இதெல்லாம் வந்து some unique tropes that we have seen. I'm sure there is a lot more, but I feel like these are the most popular ones that I have seen, the most common ones. So இது வந்து நம்ம fan கலாச்சாரத்துக்கு யூனிக்கான ஒரு அறிகுறிகள் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, இன்னொரு சைடுல வந்து இப்போ globalization and the social media, all of thisல, the access and the exposure that we have to other language cinema, other genres, other makers of films, it's so vast, the exposure that we have. So for instance, all of us discovered Korean shows. A lot of us discovered French cinema. We watch other makers or the films or shows that we find on Netflix or any OTT platform. And on TikTok, Reels, they are making content speaking about those films. Or if you like this, watch this. And the madri content and so much more. There is so much access to different types of films, and the same way vice versa also, where other makkal are discovering Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, all of our cinema as well. And of course, most popularly we have seen a lot of these foreign creators who dance for our kuttupattu and all of that. It's very nice. I think that is positive. It's like discovering new genres, new films. Idalam put together, it's like almost a new wave of cinema viewers and cinema fans is forming. And அதுதான் exciting ஆன time. And like I always say, that's what is exciting for me, to observe and see what new things are forming in that space. So இந்த context நான் உங்களுக்கு share பண்ணிட்டேன். At this juncture, going beyond just Western fan theories, accounting for our cultural context and these shifting times. Who and how are we as fans? அப்படின்றது தான் இந்த எபிசோட், or that's what is Kollywood Fan Study Part 1. It's not Part 1, sorry, it's version 1. It's like the most basic version we are starting with. Generally in fan studies, there are different ways to do it. The study I have done, and most commonly sports fan theories அப்படினு இருக்கு. Most commonly what they do to understand fans and classify fans. So அதுக்கு மூணு விஷயம் தேவை. ஒன்னு வந்து motivation, that is basically what motivates us to be a fan of this person or this genre or anything that we are a fan of. Why we love what we love, அதுதான் motivation. ரெண்டாவது வந்து behavior. Behavior is how we express that love that we have, how we are as a fan, how we behave as a fan. Third வந்து the behavior and the motivation சேர்த்து patterns form ஆகும் இல்லையா, அந்த patterns தான் there are different types of fans or different archetypes. Archetypes என்ன அப்படின்னா, very quickly, types வந்து is basically like the umbrella term. It's the most basic categorization of things is types. Stereotype is generalization based on like bias, popular opinion. But archetypes takes these motivations and behavior. So it's very psychological. அதை பேஸ் பண்ணி ஒரு pattern of human behavior form பண்றது தான் archetypes. So we are going to look at archetypes of fans, okay, not stereotypes. அவ்வளவுதான், புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டாங்க வாசு? Again, you can skip 30 seconds if this is not too relevant, but psychometric study அப்படின்றத I am used to or I am familiar with. I have done a lot in the past. Psychometry வந்து is basically subset of psychological study. This was also very fascinating for me because psychometry is basically psychological and metrics. So bringing that together, which is something very objective and very subjective. So that's why I was very interested in psychometry as well. So அது என்ன பண்ணனும்னா, இந்த மாதிரி psychological traits of motivations, behaviors எல்லாம் எடுத்து measurable ஆக்குறது தான் psychometry. I don't want to get too much into it, but I just wanted to say psychometric study is what I have used for this episode as well. In the mainstream, you know, the terms of fans that we hear or the jargons we hear is cinephile, film bro, cinema fan, fanboy, fangirling, die-hard fan, cinema lover, movie buff, and so many more we have. These are all great, but cinephile didn't quite cut it. I felt like it's very Western driven, these names and everything. So I am immediately put off by it. It almost makes me feel like I'm forced to use it. Two, it is mainstream and over generalization. It is almost now a stereotype than an archetype, which is what I want to come back to, defining our own archetypes.
இதுக்கு பருத்தி மூட்டை பேசாம குடோன்ல இருக்கலாமே. இருக்கலாம்.
Possible, and this is just like a fun experiment I'm doing. Let's go into Kollywood fan archetypes. Hollywood or South Indian cinema fans oda archetypes நம்மளே define பண்ணி பார்க்கலாமே அப்படின்றது தான் இந்த segment. Like I said, it's V1. It is oversimplified level, but it's still fun. Like we have to start somewhere. So I have noticed 5 archetypes of fans in Kollywood fandom. பெரிய disclaimer, இது வந்து it's not about one type is better than the other. Not at all. It's just different types. A lot of these have overlap as well, but most of us are like leading one type and then the secondary type, and it is also evolutionary. One day we could be this, few months later, few years later, we could be a different type of fan because of our life experiences and the intersectionality that I spoke about. So இதுதான் வந்து disclaimer. First type of fan is called a verier. We are all aware of it, or we are a verier, like a Thalapathy verian, Rajini verian, Simran verian, or you can be a Scorsese verian. They are extremely fond of this person and they have a very and hence a variant. Being a fan, being a variant, it's a matter of pride for them, and it's really tied to their identity. That is almost their entire personality. Everyone who's a friend of them will know that they are a variant. They take a lot of pride in it. So அதுதான் அவங்களோட core motivations. Behavior அப்படின்னு பார்த்தா, they're extremely loyal. They'll be the first to defend them. They'll be the first to celebrate them. They'll be the first to book first day for show tickets for them. So they are very loyal, and at the same time they have blind faith in them. They're always looking to build street credit for their fandom. Another key behavior is advocacy, which means they talk about their favorite star or whatever they are a fan of a lot. They advocate for it, and they stand by it. Also, every fan type that I'm going to talk about is positive. This is just very objectively saying these are the fan types, what are their motivators and their behaviors. But every fan type could also go bad. It means when they go on to the wrong side of things, there can be a bad version of every one of the types that I'm going to talk about. So அந்த வகையில வெரியர் itself அவங்களோட bad version எப்படி இருக்குன்னு பார்த்தா, they could turn into bullies, they could start spreading one mum, and they become so lost in their fandom that they could lose objectivity and become real police, basically. We do see a lot of it, but not all warriors are bad. It could be largely positive, it could be within reason. I am extremely loyal, I am a variant, I will advocate for my star, but I will not push it on other people are also variants very much. So that's type number 1. Let's go to type number 2, Jnani. Jnani basically has deep knowledge about actors or the genre or the filmmaker, the movie or the cinematic style, adala. It's basically whatever they are a fan of. I'm a fan of 90s films now. I could try to be an expert about it. I would like to learn everything about it. It's basically this drive for learning and knowledge and saying, oh, I know so much about it, is this type of a fan. These kind of people know like release date, forgotten lore, personal details of star, origin story, behind the scene trivia படிச்சுக்கிறது, Wikipedia religious படிக்கிறது, IMDb ratings தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறது. இது எல்லாமே வந்து ஒரு ஞானி பண்ற வேலை. Again, this is still positive. They like to revel in the knowledge that they have. They revel in the expertise that they have, and watch a lot of pre-release, post-release interview, decode பண்றது படத்தை, knowing all Easter eggs. All of this is a ஞானி. For them, the motivation is definitely immersion அப்படின்ற ஒரு concept, which is they get lost in their fandom, whoever they're a fan of or whatever they are a fan of. They really like to immerse themselves in it, and it's also deeply tied to their identity as well. How they exhibit being a jnani is whatever we spoke about, which is knowing about it. Hey, did you know? Did you know is a very common way in which a jnani would operate. In more mainstream usage, they would be like a movie nerd or a film buff or a cinema paithyam. I call myself a cinema paithyam. So this is a very relatable category for me because I take pride in how much I know about cinema, for example. Not even know, it's like lyrics and all I know randomly. I take pride in that for sure. So that is a motivator for me to learn more stuff and share it. Mostly I do this within my family, within my friends, a lot with my sister also, where we're like, oh, did you know this? Did you know this? Abdina. To continue exploring as well. It's not just knowing, but like, oh, why did they do this? Why did... There is one scene in Anegan where Dhanush's voice வேற யாரோ டப் பண்ணிருப்பாங்க. ஏன் அது பண்ணாங்க? ஏன் I lost... Not sleep over it, but you know what I mean. So being curious about it is how I see Jnani. They're extremely curious about their fandom, and in this case I was very curious about KV Anand's filmography, and like immersing myself in that world is why I relate a lot to the Jnani category. Bad manifestation of this அப்படின்னு வரும்போது is like a pultish, or it's like know it all மாதிரி behave பண்றது தான் ஞானி. எல்லா ஞானியும் அப்படி கிடையாது. I hope I'm not, but if they're like doing too much, they're like, oh, I will take it to the extreme where I know the most அப்படின்னு வரும்போது they could become a pultish. Third category is creator. Beyond being a cinema fan, creators like to express their love for their fandom or whoever they are a fan of. It's very interesting because everyone is a creator. Even me, for example, I am creating this podcast about cinema, but I wouldn't call myself primarily a creator. I actually identify more with a jnani. I'm still a creator, but that's not my primary motivation. Creator yaru அப்படின்னு பார்த்தா, beyond being a cinema fan, they express their love for whoever they are a fan of by creating something. In today's day and age, everyone is a creator, but even when there was no social media, people used to write blogs. There are so many great blogs that I keep reading as part of my podcast research. Or there's one great blog by someone on Virumandi that literally decodes it. And it's just in one corner of the internet, but that person is definitely a creator. A lot of us used to write blogs. Now we make content about it. There are people who write reviews. A lot of the reviewers out there are also creators. Some people make fan art. They make memes, video edits. What that means is if you're expressing your love for your fandom by creating, then you are a creator type of a fan. In other words, if you're just creating for the sake of it, for views, which is still okay, but you're not doing it to express your love for a fandom, then it won't really fall into this category. And I'll tell you why from personal experience. I don't identify myself as a creator type of fan. Maybe I am, but it's not my primary. I actually relate more to a jnani archetype than a creator, because if I'm a fan of someone, okay, for example, who am I a fan of? I'm a real big fan of Rahman. But I don't actually make much content. I don't create music. I don't make anything about this person. But I know more than I create about this fandom. That's how I satiate my love oh, I have this love for this person or this admiration for something or someone I'm a fan of, how I express it is about knowing and really immersing myself in it rather than creating. So that distinction I wanted to call out. Creatorல வந்து I'm also combining people who like to play trivia, antakshari, dumsy, all of these movie related games all within the world of their fandom. அது வந்து is also I'm saying creator slash play because you like to play about cinema itself. So a lot of us who enjoy it, a lot of us enjoy it, but if you're like, oh, that's my primary way in which I interact with my fandom, that will also make you a creator. So இது வந்து creating and knowing and it's very social also for them. This is like a shared experience, sharing it with others. All of this is a creator. In mainstream la வந்து creator would exist like as a film critic, film reviewer, all of that. And the bad version of a creator might be just cringe because you're trying too hard to create something, but embrace the cringe, I guess. So it's not so bad also. Type number 4 is Maharasigar. So Maharasigar is basically, how I'm defining it is someone who loves the craft, the art, or loves the artist. Definitely their appreciation of their star or whatever they are a fan of is definitely part of their identity, but it's also very personal for them. They might not typically be very loud about it. They are not very vocal about it. It's almost like one connection that they have with their star or with cinema, a very personal experience. It's still part of their identity. They enjoy films so much, but it's a very personal connection for them. They would also collect a lot of things related to their star, so they could be a Maharasigar in that way. They're like very, I don't want to call it pure, but actually the bad manifestation of this is a purist. Oh, I'm very holier than thou, I'm a art house enthusiast, adala solravanga could be the bad manifestation of a Maharasigar. The good version is still people who are like, oh, you know what, it's between me and my star or me and cinema. Like it's like that. I almost think Kamal Haasan would be a Maharasigar because he's like, I will still do what I do. He's also of course a creator, but you know what I mean. I feel like his connection to the art of cinema is very personal, and in that way he's a Maharasigar அப்படின்னு எனக்கு தோணுது. These people are also extremely loyal, very similar to the Warrior. Maharasigar are also very loyal because they don't really care about the noise around it. They're like, you know what, I will enjoy it. They have a reason for enjoying it. So it's very personal and very, in that sense, it's tied to their identity. In popular mainstream usage, they could be like a film enthusiast, fanboy, fangirl, adala. Fangirling has this, oh my god, sort of connotation to it. Why for some reason fanboy is like, oh, quiet, oh, fanboy sambhavam. I don't know why that discrimination came. But Maharasigar also takes a lot of, like, they will take autograph, they might have a collection. In this day and age, I don't know how many of us can be a Maharasigar. Just be quiet Maharasigar. If another person doesn't know that, oh, I'm a big Raja fan, அப்படின்ற ஒரு மகாரசிகர் வந்து will be fine with it because it's not like, oh, that's what others have to define. I am defining, it matters to me is probably more what a Maharasigar would be. So type number 5, the last one is Jollywood fan. I'm not a fan of this name first of all, but we'll work on that. But Jollywood fan என்னன்னா வந்து they enjoy the jolliness of cinema, right? They think of cinema as like a celebration, it's a happy thing. They enjoy the social aspect of it. It's like a shared experience. இப்போ ஒரு first day for showல இறங்கி குத்தி ஆடுறது வந்து ஒரு Jollywood fan இருக்கலாம். And someone who loves to go to concerts of their favorite artist could be a Jollywood fan. They don't take themselves too seriously. Even if their favorite film or their favorite star is being made fun of, they can take it in their stride. For them, cinema and this love or their fandom itself is about the shared experience, shared celebration of their star or whatever they are a fan of, not about cinema itself. How they express is probably, definitely they still talk about their fandom, but it's about the social aspect of it. They might create a lot as well. They don't take themselves too seriously. So they're just a cine fan or a cinema fan is what in popular terms they would be called. இவங்களுக்கு ஒரு bad manifestation இருக்கு. அது என்னன்னா, sometimes as a fan, we could judge them as being a little selfish, meaning they don't care about art itself. For example, this is not wrong, but I'm just saying one example I can think of is there'll be this really fun film. It's just super entertaining for them, and popularly it is probably rated poorly, but they enjoyed it. They had fun watching it with others. They laughed their heart out, so they will rate it 5. அப்படின்ற ஒரு type தான் இந்த Jollywood fans. So they are very jolly, but they are like, oh, so what if great films are not made? I still had fun type of thing is the Jollywood fan. Okay, so we have come to the end of archetypes. So these are the 5 types, okay. Now, Sona Madhe, I again want to emphasize that this is not about one is better than the other. They are just different types. And of course, all of them have a negative, undesirable version of each of this, which we don't want to be. There's a lot of overlap also. How much of a creator am I? How much of a jnani am I? How much of a Varian am I? Is another way to look at it. Another person cannot say what type of a fan are you. It is very personal, I think. Each of us get to define what type of a fan we are or which type we fall into. These are just different traits in which fandoms and fan types exist. If you came this far, I really appreciate you. So I'm going to share this now. If you got through all of that, I did make an online version of this fan archetype or fan study. If you answer about 25 questions, you will be slotted into one of the primary archetype, and how much percentage of each of the type you are அப்படின்ற ஒரு fun little tool I made. So please play it and then share your feedback. Few things to note on that. Onnu vanda, this is the most like V1 version. The more inputs and investment we put into this, it can be more powerful. Bigger, more extensive studies need funding or pure inputs. If you have either or both, do reach out, and I'd love to make this bigger. So the V1 of course takes into consideration the most primary motivators and the primary behaviors again. Also, this test will assume that the test taker is a fan. Anything below a fan, you will not be accurate. So when you're taking the test, நீங்க மனசுல யாரோட ஃபேன் நினைச்சுக்கிட்டு அந்த டெஸ்ட் எடுத்தீங்கன்னா இன்னுமே அக்யூரேட்டா இருக்கும். ஜஸ்ட் டு நோட், மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் தீஸ் ரிசர்ச், இந்த மாதிரி சைக்கலாஜிக்கல் ஸ்டடீஸ், சைக்கோமெட்ரிக் ஸ்டடீஸ் வந்து யூ கேன் லுக் இட் அப் ஆன்லைன். they obviously come with their default bias and limitations, okay, which applies to this as well. So keep that in mind. This does not have to be we are boxing fans into different holes abindradilla. It is more, like I said, self-exploratory. Only you can do it. You're doing it for the fun of it. It's not about which type is better. It's not as serious as a advanced psychometric study that is ready to be used by the cinema studies or whatever. But at the same time, it's not as frivolous as a BuzzFeed quiz. Somewhere in between, closer to the latter. It is made with the right intent. So I will post about this, of course, on my Instagram and everything. So if you follow me there, you should have access to it. I hope you enjoyed taking the test. Share with your friends and try to find out what type of a fan you are. Okay, we have come to the very end. Hope this was fun. Even if you don't take the test, that's fine. I'd love to hear what other fan types you have seen out in the wild, and I'd love to continue the conversation. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you on the next episode or on a reel. So bye-bye.